Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. And Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. And you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And today it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Kalpna Suthar. And she is going to be talking to us about adapting to change. And her business is called Uncensored Society.
Yes, it is.
It is. And she is an ex-police officer and has been for over 6 years in London. And since leaving the force, she has travelled all over the world working with 6 to 9 figure gurus in the digital marketing sector, forming sales procedures and coaching teams on event sales. She is also an award-winning author with a copy of her book in Her Majesty the Queen of England's private royal library. Well done. She had a book launch in Toronto, Canada, where Bob Proctor and Dr. DeMartini presented her an award for My Inspirational Journey to Success. She has been interviewed on TV and published articles on platforms such as Manhattan Neighbourhood Network, The Huffington Post, Roku Channels TV, Amazon Fire TV, Footprint TV, iTunes, and the One Tribe magazine. She also started an English school in Bali in Indonesia, where she lived for 2 years for the local families who were not able to afford to send their kids to English classes. Well done. Gee, that's quite a background, Kalpna.
It is,
and you're
that's
very famous. My goodness, fancy being in the Queen's Library. Gee.
Yeah, and I've got so many stories to tell you around all of that. And I mean, it's just so funny how things work out. And when you do take risks and take a jump and see, whether it works or not, when it does work out, you're like, oh my God, this is insane, right? And then so you keep up the momentum and all these other fantastic things kind of come your way as well, right?
Yeah.
So what I really learned from when I was younger to now, like in my 20s to now, is that you got to be able to think outside the box. You got to be creative, right? Because there's so many different things out there, and there is going to be competition. You got to be unique and stand out from the crowd. So having my book in the Queen's Private Royal Library isn't something that I've heard anybody have, right? A lot of people are like the #1 bestseller on Amazon, right? But I was like, okay, let me see if I can get my book in the Queen's Private Library. And so I did some little bit of research and stuff, figured out how to do this, and then just kind of went for it. And the funny thing is, I actually use this method on several other people, like Oprah Winfrey, right? Ellen DeGeneres, the Queen, and a few other people. But yet, the only reply I got back was from the Queen.
Wow.
Right. Yes. And so I was like, well, I'm happy with that. I can say I'm rubbing shoulders with royalty now, right?
Okay. Wow. Pretty exciting. So what made you leave the police force and start this business of Uncensored Society?
Oh my goodness. So I was in the police for quite a long time, and being in that negative environment, you don't realize how much of a toll it actually takes on your body, physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? Because you're around bad guys all the time. And so one day what happened was I actually woke up one morning, jumped into the shower, and as soon as the hot water touched my skin, it just started burning. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I jumped out, went, straight in front of the mirror to find out what was going on. And my entire body came out in a rash, head to toe. Didn't know what was going on, what happened, because the night before I went to sleep completely fine. And so I rushed to the hospital. I had all these tests and everything done. And I waited in the consultation room for my doctor to tell me what was going on with me. And as soon as he walked into the room, he looked straight at me and he goes, "You are lucky you got here when you did." So I said to him, "Well, what do you mean? What's going on?" And he goes, "If you didn't get here when you did, your throat would have closed up." Wow. So yeah, at that point, I was like, holy crap, what if my throat closed up while I was asleep? I would never have woken up the next morning. And so I continued and asked him, well, how did this happen? What is this? And he goes, this form of rash is caused by being overly stressed. And so at that point, that's when I realized I need to quit the police force, because now my life is on the line. It might not necessarily be because I'm putting myself at risk on the line of duty, but it's affecting me in a different way. And so I decided to quit the police force, not having a plan B, not knowing what I was going to do next, right? But all I knew was that what I'm doing right now isn't working and my life is on the line. So I just quit. And then I thought, as most people do, wouldn't it be great if I could be my own boss? And so
you're right.
You're right. And kind of like, let's, I don't know what kind of company I'm going to build. I don't know what I'm going to be providing as a service or a product. Let me start my entrepreneurial journey now, because I've been in corporate for so long. And so as I kind of jumped into this, and it was so funny, the minute I quit my job as a police officer, all these doors just started opening up. And I was like, well, why couldn't anyone tell me that's all I needed to do before? But then they always say, things like that happen to you when the time is right.
Yeah, universe always provides, don't they?
Right. And so what I started to do was freelancing and doing bits and pieces, because in my 20s, I had so many different jobs. I was jumping from one job to another job. Every single one of them was completely different. So I had all these skills behind me now. And so what happened, a friend of mine who worked in events asked me to come down to an event in central London. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to. I've just quit my job. I'm going to take some time out. I don't want to be meeting any more people in suits and, accountants and bankers. And these are the kind of people that were at her event. She goes, just come down, socialize, mingle. You never know. If you don't like it, then just leave. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll go down there. And I remember I went down there. They were all suited and booted. I felt so out of place, because that's just not my environment at all. And I went straight to the bar and got a drink. And this guy came up to me, started talking to me. You know how that goes. You're like, oh, God, here we go. We're getting chatted up again, right? Yep. But it was so weird, because the questions he was asking me, I felt like I was in a job interview. So he was asking me, what do I do now? What my experience is, where I've worked, my qualifications. And I'm giving him all the answers. And I'm like, who are you? Right? Like, why are you asking me all these questions? And basically, he was a parliament candidate. Oh. And he asked me to join his team to be a campaign manager. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I need you to help me join my team, because I feel like the skills that you got will really drive my campaign. And I'm like, okay, so how does this work? I left my job Friday and I went to this event Friday evening, and then I was on his books and working as a freelancer, as a campaign manager on the Tuesday.
Wow, so well done.
Yes, it happened so quickly. And so it was during the London elections. And so I went through that process. But you know what? I found out, right, with my own eyes and ears, that there's actually more criminals in politics than there are in prisons.
Oh, yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that.
Right. And like the things I saw and heard, it was unbelievable. And I'm like, no, if the police force kind of took a toll on my whole health, there's no way I can do politics, right? So I didn't hang around too much longer after that. And then I got another opportunity. So all these opportunities, I wasn't physically seeking for these opportunities, but they were coming my way, right? Like I said, all these doors started opening. And then I got an opportunity to work with another company, but it was a US company. And what I really wanted to get into was events. And so this opportunity came my way, and they worked in events, and they said to me, you will be the first person on our team to be working on our event side of things. And I'm like, great, okay, so what you guys do? And these were business events. These were events where these guru speakers would be coming down, speaking on stages and talking about building online digital events. Online digital businesses, right? And I'm like, okay, awesome, great. Still not knowing what that really meant because I'm not from that industry. And so I thought, okay, might as well just give it a go. So I spoke to a few people in the company. I told them what my background was and everything. They were so astonished that I was a police officer because I'm only 4'11". And right.
You're not even 5 foot. My goodness.
No, I'm not. And so they brought me onto the team, and they said to me, right, we need your bags packed, your flights booked, your hotels booked, and you need to fly to Malaysia in 2 days. My very first event that I did with this company was in Malaysia. It happened so quick. And that was a week after I quit my campaign manager job with Liberal Democrat politics, right? So everything just happened, the way it was supposed to happen, I guess. And then I was freelancing with this company, and I learned about online digital digital events and business and all this kind of stuff. That whole industry made so many different connections, spoke to so many gurus, speakers, CEOs, all this kind of stuff, and was actually flying around all over the world internationally. My flights being paid for, my hotels being paid for, all that good stuff, right? And learning about business myself. And so with that being said, I was on the peak of my career at that time. It was amazing. But as we all know in business, there's a lot of up and down. So that peak slowly went down, right? And I'll tell you what happened there. I was then asked to go to Costa Rica for the same company to help with events and sales and, make sure the logistics are all there and everything. I was in Costa Rica for 3 weeks. I was meant to be there for about 3 or 4 months. The company shut down.
Oh no.
It went belly up. The US government came and shut it down, right? So now I have no shelter. I have no food. I have no water. I don't have the basics I need to live on anymore because the company was paying for it, and now it's their accounts, everything got shut down. I was with 2 other ladies who was also on the team. They had different roles to play, pulling out their hair, not knowing what to do. Now my flight wasn't booked to go back until 3 months later, right? I also was not going to get paid from this company either because they shut down. So now I'm like, I'm in this foreign country. I don't know the language, right? Don't have my basic needs that I need to survive. What the hell am I going to do?
Didn't you have any savings, like of your own?
So I had savings in my UK account. This was my US account.
Okay, yep.
Right. So all of that was just gone. And so I first had to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this place? I've got to change my flights now. That's going to cost. And so what I decided to do was not cry about it. I was laughing about it. And my 2 other colleagues could not understand why I found this so funny. And the reason why I found this so funny was because I was like, I've hit rock bottom. And from what I know, the Les Browns, the Tony Robbins, they all hit rock bottom too, which to me told me I'm on the right path. That means I'm going to be a millionaire. Right? And so that was the perspective that I kind of took it all in. And so when I kind of wasn't worrying about it, I wasn't stressed out about it, there was something that was telling me it was going to be okay. This is just temporary. It's going to be okay. And I was like, the worst that can happen is I'm under the sun with palm trees and I can go sleep out on the beach. Right? It could be worse. I could be in a really, really cold place.
Yeah, you could have said.
Yeah. And so what I found that when you can actually think and your mind isn't foggy because of all the stress and overwhelm you're in, you're then actually able to kind of think logically and be creative and think outside the box. So then at that point, what I started to do is because of everything that I've learned about business, about marketing, bringing leads in, I started going to all the different hotels on the beachfront and saying to them, I can bring you more clients, right? I can do this for you. I got my laptop out. I showed them what we've done in the past, how, the reviews and what people thought about what we did for them. And I said to them, but I just need my basic needs met. I need shelter, I need food, and I need water. And because they realized that these kind of coaching cost thousands of dollars, and all I was asking was for my essential needs to be met, they jumped right on it. And so that's how I had to learn to survive while I was out there. So I can then, have my basic needs met, then raise the money in order to change my flights, to get back to the UK. And you know what else was funny? It was because I was traveling so much. And even though I had 5 years on my passport, I ran out of pages on my passport. So getting back to London because there was no pages left on my passport was now another obstacle I was having to face in customs, right? So the whole thing about adapting to change and adapting to the world and also knowing how to adapt in your business, because it's such a roller coaster of a ride, and you got to learn to be creative and learn to think outside the box to adapt with all the changes, especially with things like pandemic. After that happened to me, and I was like, if I can survive that, then pandemic, bring it on, right? Because what we need to realize is that we need to adapt to the world. The world will not adapt to us. And there's no point in us sitting down and waiting for life to go back to normal so we can then continue, because this is the new normal now. And so the things don't just change in our world. The same thing's going to happen in business. It will constantly change. You'd be doing Facebook ads. Guess what? Facebook will change, and all of a sudden the algorithm changes, and now you're not getting those leads that you used to get.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to constantly be on your feet, on your toes, and be ready for changes.
So I guess how do people I guess change their mindset so that they are adaptable to change?
So you got to be open to learning new things and being open to actually changing your mindset. Now, if you're one of those people where you feel that you're doing things right and there's nothing wrong and there's no more learning that you need to do, then that's where you're gonna get stuck. You need to be coachable. You need to be aware that, okay, these are my weaknesses and I need to learn how to change this, to see a different perspective, because perspective is everything. Now, I could have been on that beach and crying my eyes out, pulling my hair, wondering what the hell I'm going to be doing, being angry at the whole world, right? Or you can have a different perspective and be like, things could be worse, right?
You did.
Exactly. Oh God, yeah, that's a whole different story, because that could have happened there as well, the way things were going, because there was cars, there was drive-bys going past, and I was like, all they need to do is pull out a gun and shoot. And so so I had to find a different place to go, and that was a whole sham as well. But all these things, it builds thick skin.
It builds character, doesn't it?
It does. And you need that in business, most definitely. And if you're going to be one of those people where you're always going to see the misery in everything, and you're always going to be struggling with changes, and business isn't for you, do not do it, right? Go back to your 9 to 5 and deal with that. And I don't apologize for saying things like that, because it is what it is. Okay, business doesn't happen overnight, and you got to be in there for the long game, and the long game means going through the ups and downs. And so changing that perspective, be willing to change your perspective and your mindset, is definitely the way to go.
Yep, I agree totally. Yeah. If you can't roll with the punches, then, don't be in business, because there are a lot of punches in business
Oh
and
my
in life, in fact. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. And no matter how big or small it is, it's just down to you to figure it out. Figure a solution out. You've got to be solution based.
mm,
And the only way you're going to be able to come up with logical, solid solutions is if your mind is clear and you're not living that misery, you're not worried, you're not stressed out. Your end goal is, right, I'm in this situation. How am I going to get out of it?
yeah, it's no good feeling sorry for yourself, is there?
No, but unfortunately, a lot of people do. We've seen it during this pandemic.
Yes, we have. That is unfortunate. It has affected a lot of people, though, in ways that, it's just been really tough, and it's just been tough.
It has. It has. But then maybe you could look at it and see it as another opportunity to either learn something different, or take the time out to spend some time with your family. If I know there's a lot of redundancies going on and people looking for other jobs, but because there isn't many jobs going on at the moment because of the pandemic, it's this roller coaster of a ride. And so looking at it as a different perspective and learning something new could be the opportunity that you need right now, and kind of coming out of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different here in Australia, because even though we've got all our borders open and we're not in lockdown anymore, jobs are still like in the hospitality industry. There aren't a lot of jobs. People aren't going back to it because they're too frightened. If there's another lockdown, then they'll just lose their jobs again. So they're looking for alternative employment, and the government's doing a really good job to bolster employment here. But it's been really hard for everybody, and I know in England it's even tougher because you're still in lockdown basically, and so it wouldn't be a lot of fun.
We've just come out of there, out of lockdown, but this is our third lockdown, and the Prime Minister's already talking about a fourth lockdown. And we're like, hold on a second, we've just come out the third one.
Yeah, well,
right?
People are doing silly things, and we won't go into that. But,
yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your My Inspirational Journey to Success Award.
So that was to do with my book. And basically my book is all about the different adversities from when I was younger, be it in relationships, to the relationships I had with my parents, which wasn't healthy at all, to my career, to friends, the health issues that I had. All those different adversities I kind of dealt with when I was younger and on my own, because I didn't have a support network at all. And while I was growing up, basically everyone was telling me that the way I'm living is wrong. Everything that I'm doing is wrong because I wasn't doing what society wanted me to do. And that is go to school, go to college, go to uni, get a job, and then retire in that job. And then once you retire, then you enjoy life. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, there's got to be more to it than this. And because I went from job to job to job to job to job, people are like, no, you find one job and you stick at it. And I'm like, what? Right? And so constantly people were like, no, what you're doing isn't right. And you need to settle down. You need to have kids and get married and all of this because, I come from an Indian background and that's what you're supposed to do.
I was going to bring that up, but I could just imagine what your parents would have been saying to you,
And then when I joined the police force, oh my goodness, they were like, I'm the only daughter in the family, and they're like, you want to join the police force? Like, you're not doing that,
I could imagine that. It would have been, it would have been really tough on you.
Yeah, but I didn't let that stop me. And in fact, the more people said no to me and the more people told me that you can't do this, I would make sure I go and get it done.
Yeah, I'm the same. People tell me no, that I can't do something.
gives you more ammunition.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. And so I found myself kind of doing things that I shouldn't be doing on purpose.
You
right?
little rebel, you.
Right. And so I was like, well, you're telling me I can't join the police force. I want to make sure I'm going to join the police force and get in. Before that, I was actually an MMA fighter. And people were telling me, you can't be an MMA fighter. You're 4'11". I'm like, watch me. You know? And so I was going out of my way doing these outrageous things just to prove a point to people that even though you told me I couldn't do it, I'm doing it. Even when I decided that I want to join the events industry, right? I don't have no background in events. I have no qualifications. I've never done events before. People were telling me there's no way anyone's going to employ you to do events. Like, no, you don't have no experience. You got no qualifications. No way. And then I was hired by this international company doing events all over the world, right? It just goes to show that if you're willing to learn, and you show people your value, that there's people out there that will take a chance on you. And there's been so many people that have taken a chance on me. But because of that, I was able to grow and kind of build my portfolio and learn so many different skills. And there isn't many people that can turn around and say no, because once you give me the opportunity, I can show you I can do it, and I can do it really freaking well. So when I joined the events industry, when I had no background, I remember my superiors asking me, how the hell are you doing this role? You just walked in and you're doing it better than the people that have been doing it for 20 years. Right? And I'm like, because I'm open to learning. I'm open to questions. I'm open to finding out why you're doing it this way, not that way. I don't have anything else to compare it to. Whereas people that have been for 20 years can say, oh, no, we did it like this in this company. Oh, no, if you're going to get me to do this, I need this. I had nothing. I was a blank canvas.
That's it.
Right. And so I was absorbing all the information that was coming my way because I was able to and wasn't able to compare it to anything else. As far as I'm concerned, doing what I'm doing here is something I wanted to do, and it's so much better than being a police officer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
You know, so I'm loving this. And so I just wanted to get better and better. And it's so funny because I even for a company started doing bookkeeping and accounts. And that's a funny story because I'm not qualified bookkeeper, I'm not qualified accountant, no qualifications, never really done it. And they hired me by complete accident. And they were like, can you do this? I was like, I don't know what Sage is. I don't know how it works. Like, I need full-on training. After their training with them, right, without any qualifications, I know how to do accounts inside out. Right. And I'm thinking about all these other people that pay how much money to learn how to do accounts and get trained up. How much time and energy do they do? And I learned it on the job. Right. So when people turn around and say there's no way, you ain't qualified, you ain't got no experience, to me, that's a load of crap. Because it's happened to me continuously and I've learned on the job. And that's the best way to me. That's the best way to learn, is doing it on the job, because you're getting real life experience now.
Absolutely. I agree with that there. I do.
You know, and that is worth so much more than a piece of paper.
Yes, it can be in a lot of instances. Sometimes a bit of paper doesn't make you qualify. I mean, it makes you qualify, but it doesn't make you able to do a job.
Right. Exactly. And
anyway, Kalpna, where can people find you?
So people can find me on my website. It's uncensoredsociety.com. And also I have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/uncensored society. If you join me on there, I'll be putting a load of updates on there about my 5-day challenges. You get loads of advice, guidance, support on there. So please do go ahead and join the group there.
Perfect. And where can they buy your book?
Oh, if they go to Amazon and just put in Never Judge a Book by its cover, it does come up. But also, I think I've given you the link, so that will be on the show notes as well.
It will be, yes.
Awesome. Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you. Your story has been very interesting. You're only a little puppy yet, so
Yeah.
you've got a lot of living to do, and I'm
Yes.
sure you'll knock everyone's socks off.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here on your podcast. It was amazing to be here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kalpna. Bye-bye.
Bye.